Hi, it's Dean from Digital Camera Warehouse here. Recently I've been talking with Sony about doing a project, something that we could do while locked down in the house, and a way of showcasing their cameras. What I'd suggested was shooting an indexical series. Indexical series are photos of a particular item, whether that be a series of bus stops, or kettles, stuffed animals, a repeating series of a particular object, and that's shot in very much the same style and proportions and all those sorts of things. Towards that end, we talked about doing something with macro, because it's something that you can do inside the house. And they sent me an A7R4 and the 90mm macro. When I opened up the box that the gear came in, there was also a 6600, and the challenge was to make a vlog. Now, I've never vlogged before. I have shot video. The last video I made was about 10 years ago when I was graduating from art school. So I thought I would take on the challenge and see what it was like to do a vlog and present to you a basic how-to on how I've gone about doing a vlog. What we're going to have later on is also me doing an editing video and looking at shooting macro and the sort of detail that I can get out of the A7R4. The A7R4 is 61 megapixels. I've never shot with something that high a resolution. My current camera, I think, is about 22 megapixels, and I do a lot of printing. So with 24 megapixels, I get to about 1.3 meters. So it'll be interesting to see the amount of detail that I'm getting out of this A7R4, and it will be fun to play around with. In terms of the vlogging though, we're going to look at the process of me setting it up and talking to you and everything that I've gone through to do this video. First of all, obviously I am shooting on the camera, and one thing you'll notice is that with the 6600, you've got continuous autofocus. So as I move in and out of the camera keeps tracking me, and it's actually tracking autofocus on my eyes. So it's really good if you're an expressive vlogger, or if you're happy to be moving around and not sitting still. Now, both this camera and the others in the Sony 6000 series can also be set to manual focus, and in that sort of situation the focus won't change. I will, if I do move in and out of the area of focus. But with the 6600 we're using, the focus is tracking with me. The other thing to think about is lighting. So currently I have two LED lights set up over there and over there. Now what I'm going to do is turn the lights off, and you'll see the difference that we've got with that. So the first thing you'll notice is that I'm kind of sitting in the dark. Now part of that is because I've got the ISO locked in, so I can actually turn that to auto, and that'll bring the exposure up a little bit. So let me do that and I'll show you the difference that does. Okay, so this is with ISO set to auto. You can see I'm better exposed on this side of my face, but we've got some pretty heavy shadows and you're really losing my eyes in the shadows. So the advantage of having the LED lights is that I can have a consistent light and I can better illuminate myself than I would from the overhead ceiling light. So let's turn the lights back on and we'll go back to a better exposure. And I'm back with the lights. The next thing to think about is, if we are doing a vlog in our house, where are we going to shoot it? If your house is anything like mine, that may involve moving furniture around and trying to clean the place up to have a small little studio space. So choosing a space with like a bookshelf behind you or an artwork breaks up the visual landscape other than just a plain white wall and makes it a bit more interesting. Also, because we're shooting relatively wide open with an aperture of f4.5, the background is reasonably out of focus, so we're just using it to break up that visual space. Once we've got our scene where we're going to shoot it, and we've got our lights in place, the next thing to think about is audio. One of the advantages of this Sony is that I've got a flip screen. I can talk to the monitor and see myself. I can also see the audio levels going on that. Now, to allow me to facilitate that, I've got the mic off to the side. One of the things to think about when we are doing the audio levels is generally you're better to set those manually. If we leave the audio levels at auto, you might find if you do have breaks or moments of silence, that when the audio kicks back in and you start talking straight away, you'll blow out the top end and you'll get clipping. So I would recommend setting the audio levels manually. Now, to record the video, I've decided to use the Sony XAVC-S HD codecs. I'm actually shooting in HD, not 4K. My thinking is that being that my computer is slightly older, it's probably going to be easier and quicker to edit this in HD, and HD is still fairly universal on YouTube. I've shot it at 25p. I don't really think I need the higher frame rates that 50p or something like that offers, because it's only me talking to camera. We don't really care about smooth detail or anything like that in this situation. But I've chosen the 50 megabytes per second compression rate because it's going to give me a bit less compression and more details to edit with when I am doing the editing. YouTube will probably crunch that down. I'm going to lose a lot of that data, but it's good to start with more detail rather than less. Now that we've talked a little about the camera, lighting, vlogging, what am I actually going to photograph for this macro project? Well, before I dive into that, I'm just going to mention where the idea came from, the inspiration for it. The first is photographic husband and wife duo Bernd and Hilla Becher. They've done a series over their whole life, both of them passed away now, of these industrial photos. They've taken photos of old industrial buildings, granaries, silos, all those sorts of things. If you've never seen the work, it's fantastic. They're large-scale black and white prints that are gridded up where they've got a whole series of granaries, a whole series of silos. They're beautiful photos and well worth looking into. The second inspiration was artist Kelley. He did a series of photos that was used in a Sonic Youth album cover of himself and stuffed animals. And again, both of these are indexical style artists, or series at the least. What I've decided to photograph is statues of Batman. So I've got a heap of these around the house. They're black and white. They're also like my Kelley stuffed animals in some ways. I'm going to make a little studio and we're going to shoot them with this fantastic 61 megapixel camera. I'm going to take the camera off the tripod and show you a little of the small setup I've made in the house. And I'm going to come back, hopefully in a couple of weeks, with an editing video looking at what the camera delivers. As you can see, I've got a reasonably simple setup. I've got a chair with a section of paper backdrop cut out and draped over it. And then to the left and right of the scene, I've got two Elinchrom studio flashes set up. The LED light in the foreground will obviously be taken out for the purposes of the photo and is just being used to light the video. I hope you found my first vlog helpful and educational. It was certainly a learning experience for me to work out all the things that I hadn't thought about and what I needed to think about. And before I finish, I thought I'd throw in a preview of some of the images. These are straight out of camera JPEGs that I haven't done any work on. I actually used the Sony Image Edge app to transfer the files, and these were the ones that popped up on my phone while I was taking them, so I thought I'd throw them into the video. Thanks to Sony for giving me the challenge, supporting your future purchases, and for lending me some equipment to play around with. Thank you everyone, and we'll see you next time.